You can't win the league without contributions from all over, and that means the emerging player category is even more important than usual. Here to discuss the standout emerging players of the first round of the 2022 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship playoffs is Aaman Patel. Aaman, welcome.
Hey Nate, how's it going? It was a great playoff weekend, first one, and now we get to experience the tail end of it right here in Mooresville, North Carolina. Can't ask for anything better.
Yeah, we got to be on comms with Peter and Nikhil this weekend at Church Street Park. We got to see some emerging players close up, firsthand. You went from that excitement to starting college at UNC this week, or going straight to your dorm. I'm sure you've been riding a high ever since. But let's talk a little bit about what we saw firsthand. We saw Abhiram Bolisetty step up. He was really starting to connect there in the second game, and he hit a couple of sixes before he got run out. It really makes me think what could have happened if he had been able to stay in that match. Could we be talking about two different could we be talking about a different outcome of that Morrisville series with the New Jersey Stallions?
It would have been interesting for sure. Towards the tail end of it, you saw, Abhiram hit two of the biggest sixes back down the ground. Nikhil was going crazy as well. So you just felt, there's some more so magic in the offering. And, he just wasn't able to connect on the first two. I think the first ball he's going to feel as if he missed out on, thought he could have sent it over covers for six. I actually talked about it after the game, and we were watching the film, and he was like, yeah, that one, I should have sent over covers. And I think then he played that dot ball, the scramble with Matthew, and then just the miscommunication. It definitely could have been a whole other game had a couple of things gone the Morso Raptors' way. But that's just that. All credit to Stephen Wiggin the way he bowled. I mean, most of those deliveries, there's nothing you could do.
Oh, one of the best 20th overs you'll ever see. He was bowling. He had such a small room for error there with the line and length he was bowling. If he misses one way, he's smashed. If he misses the other way, it's a wide. And he delivered tremendously for that team. But yeah, we've seen the Raptors come down to the wire four prior times in the chase this season. All four times they managed to either force a super over, or the other three times win it on the final ball. And this was the first time out of five times this season where they weren't able to do that. They weren't able to get across the line. And you have to think maybe if Abiram had been in the middle still at the end, the way that he started to connect, the way he was hitting it into the woods, the kids were digging for the ball in the woods, under in the dark, which, always makes you think, oh, I hope that nobody gets bit by a snake in there. But yeah, he was hitting it into the snakes. So, would have been something else to see him still in the middle at the end. But we also got treated to some very good U21, U19 players from New Jersey Stallions. One of those players, Sami Mukkamalla. How good was he?
It was special. I think match one really just it showed you the class of Saiteja Mukkamalla and why he keeps getting call-ups to the U.S. national team. I've said it for quite some time. I think he's the best young bat in the country. And and you could just see it on full display over at Church Street Park, the cover drives, just the way he was flowing through his shots. And I think the innings he played, you know, me and Nikhil were on comms for a bit. Me and Peter were also on comms for a bit as well. And we're talking about how the run rate was kind of just stagnant, but they weren't losing wickets. Him and Ricky had a huge partnership, and they both scored 50s by the end of it. And they just kind of set a platform for Anthony Bramble and company and the rest of that New Jersey Stallions batting lineup to really just destroy the ball. Jerome Davis had a big day
Ooh.
with bat in hand afterwards. And that all stemmed from how good and how brilliantly Saiteja Mukkamalla started the innings off for the New Jersey Stallions.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Darren Davis. Darren Davis was fantastic throughout the playoffs. He just he made a couple amazing plays in the field. But yeah, back to Cy. Throughout his minor league career, he's played 31 matches. He's batted in 29 of those. He scored 666 runs. So, there's a little bit of a unlucky number there. But he scored them off of 664 balls. So he's going at a run a ball. This season, it seems like it's kind of a little bit similar to last season where he kind of struggled, was very slow most of the season. And by the time the playoffs came around, he was a massive asset to the team. He showed himself on Saturday morning to be a massive, or Saturday afternoon to be a massive asset to the New Jersey Stallions, helping them get that first very important win, striking much higher than a run a ball in the process. So, and like you said, he's been one of those guys. He's been so good. He's been so good that he's pretty much the reason why next year we're going to disqualify anybody who's played for USA Cricket from the emerging player category, even though really in our mind it's U21s and U19 players. So we might disqualify if you've played for USA. You're pretty much not an emerging player anymore. You've been there. You've been to the mountain or whatever. So let's but anyhow, excellent job from him. Who else really performed this week in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look out west, you look at Dev Thadani from the Silicon Valley Strikers. I think he was really special with the way that he bowled. You talk about he bowled 72 deliveries over the weekend and just gave up 85 runs, took 4 wickets as well. And when you talk about Silicon and the way they started that first match against Chicago, bowling them out for a score under 100 was unbelievable and gave,
Right.
the likes of Unmuk Sheikh and Dev Thadani, Rahul Jariwala, another emerging talent, to just come in and just smack the ball out all out of the park. And then just to come back and back that up after they lose in a super over in game two, back that up on day three,
Right.
or excuse me, day two in game three, back it up with wickets. I think, with the way Dave bowled all weekend was really special and a big reason why the Silicon Valley Strikers are headed back to Morso.
Yeah, great numbers from him. He bowled his quota in all 3 games, which is massive for a player as young as he is on a team as good as that Silicon Valley Strikers team. To be bowling his quota every game, that's phenomenal. So he bowled 72 balls over the weekend, gave up 81 runs, 1 wide, 4 wickets, a 21.25 bowling average at an economy of 7.08. And this is against a playoff team. This is against Chicago, who proved themselves by winning that second game in the super over that they deserve to be in the playoffs. Congratulations to them. That we were just talking last week. Oh, it looks like that might be the easiest matchup to pick, of all the first round picks. All the rest of them look neck and neck, but then you have the Giants that are the Silicon Valley Strikers against the newcomers that are the Chicago Tigers. And so, boy, was I wrong. That was probably the closest. It might have been the closest series. That was the closest series of the weekend. So, congratulations to Chicago for making it that way. And part of the reason they got there was that they have their own young stud. Let's talk about him.
Yeah, Sami Sohail. We've talked about him time and time again here on the show, and he's a winner before. And it wasn't always what he did with the ball this week, though. That's predominantly what we know him as, a bowler, a great bowler. And while he bowled 54 balls, only gave up 60 runs, had the 1 wicket, it was what he did with the bat. When you talk about, in one match, he scored 33, had finished with 43 over the weekend, and came up when they needed him to come up with the bat. So, I think Sami Sohail with an all-around performance was really spectacular this week.
Yeah, and we've heard it before from Calvin Savage, who said Sami Sohail can bat. He is a good batter. We're going to see more of him in the future as a true all rounder. There's no question about it. But when when you play for a good playoff team, when you play for a playoff team throughout the season, and you're a young bowler like Sami Sohail, the batting chances are going to be smaller. You're not going to get a ton of them. Now, when you play against a very good team that bowls very well, like the Silicon Valley Strikers in a best of 3 series, you're gonna bat. So good job for Sami Sohail to come through with the bat and with the ball. Fantastic. Under 7 bowling economy against Silicon Valley Strikers, and he bowled 54 balls across the 3 games. That's tremendous stuff. I think we got our work cut out for us picking the winner this week. Well, a couple of other honorable mentions. Aditya Padala from the Raptors was very good once again with 2 wickets. And we also had Rahul Jariwala did pretty well. We mentioned Abhiram Bolisetty, and Ali Sheikh took 3 wickets. He was pretty expensive, unfortunately, for the Dallas team. But who isn't expensive these days against the Seattle Thunderbolts? Who's it going to be? Who's your pick for the emerging player of the week this week?
I think we picked our top three. I think we mentioned them quite heavily. I think, it comes down to Dev Thadani, Sami Sohail, and Saiteja Mukkamalla. And I don't think it's much of a surprise, much like the Surya Mello weekend where everyone kind of knew it was going to be him. I think it is going to be Saiteja Mukkamalla once again winning the DAFA News Emerging Player of the Week. I believe he won it week 1 with his winning runs. And how about this? The final week going into championship weekend gets another one.
Yeah, he's an early favorite to be on the emerging team of the season. So let's see how that goes when we get around to picking that, which will be after the season. In the meantime, we've got the finals this weekend. We're busy. We can't wait to watch it. We love this kind of busy. It's right here in our own backyard, and lots of cricket fans from all over the USA are gathering. If you can make it here, you're gonna want to. You're gonna be surprised at what you see, even if your expectations are high right now. You're gonna see great things. And this year, there were 2 games under the lights. How awesome is that?
I love it. I love it. Last year, I loved the finals weekend, but I said, man, could you imagine that final against Silicon in New Jersey under the lights at Church Street Park? And now we have an opportunity to see a final under the lights at Church Street Park. I don't think there's anything better in USA cricket than being under the lights there.
So tune in to, you can watch it on YouTube or you can watch it on the Willow Network. Also, you can listen on 99.94, which is Jared Kimber's new audio cricket platform. Check that out if you want to listen to the game. If you're at the game and you want to listen to a radio broadcast while you're at the game, check out the 99.4, check out YouTube, check out Willow. Watch the game, come to the game, have a great time, and we're going to see even more emerging players this weekend. Somebody's going to step up. Somebody's going to step up. Like, who do you think's going to be? Let's do this. We do this sometime. You pick it.
Oh man.
You pick your emerging player to watch for this weekend, and then I'll pick mine.
Well, I feel like I would be a cop out if I said either Rahul Jariwala and Satyajit Mukkamalla because they've already been there. They've already been there and done that. So of the teams coming to play, I think is going to be another name that we say quite often. I think they're Supermanian. I think
Ah,
he's the one to watch for. Had such a weekend against the Morsel Raptors at Church Street Park 2 weeks ago. Hard to look past him.
yeah, he did. He did bowl here terribly well. We both saw it firsthand. It is tough not to pick him. I was leaning on him a little bit. I'm gonna have to say Dev Thadani is gonna come here and he's gonna bowl well, and he's gonna factor in big for the strikers simply because they've already shown that they're backing him. That they played him to the max. They gave him his overs in all 3 of those games, and they were important playoff games. And one of them they lost in a super over, so it was a close game. So that tells me I think they're going to back Dev Tadani, and if they can get 2 games this weekend, I think he's going to be the emerging player of the week next week.
I love the pick.
All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for joining, Aaman, and we'll be back next week with even more like we always are.